What is up, everyone? I hope you guys are doing well. So, today we are talking about the Power of 3 fundamentals. Like, everyone asked me to do this video because everyone needed to understand the Power of 3. So, let's just start directly. I will not waste any time. I just want to tell you guys that this video is really about understanding what is a Power of 3, not really necessarily how we use the Power of 3. This will be in another lesson because it's a big things, and I realized that I can't talk about that in one video only. It will be like in separate lesson. So we just talk about the Power of 3. So for everyone that either are in the inner cycle or anything, I recommend watching this video first because you will need to understand the Power of 3, the market maker model, and everything that's surrounding that to understand quality theory as all the mentors that teach quality theory preach. So I recommend you to watch either all the ICT basics before the Power of 3 video, this lesson, and the market maker right before, because you will not understand anything I talk about in this video if you don't know the basics. So this video is really for the beginner that want to dive in depth inside of Power of 3s and market maker model. So let's dive directly into it. So we will start with understanding the Power of 3. What is it? How we use that? So the Power of 3 represent market maker model with a time aspect. That's why we recognize the market maker model first, will drastically improve your probabilities to recognize the open low high close or the open high low close of our Power of 3s. So that's why the market maker model is the first lesson and this one is second, because I recommend personally having the idea of what is a market maker model, because it's pretty much the same thing, we just add time into our technical analysis. If we have a weekly market maker model, you want to see our monthly Power of 3s or more following the structure. Making sense, right? So imagine that, let's take this picture right there. So imagine this picture is a weekly market maker buy model, let's say. So every stage is weekly candle. During the buy side of the curve, you would expect price to most likely make open low high close towards or initial accumulation at the high, right? So using the market maker buy model, you will know how to frame your weekly Power of 3s or monthly Power of 3s, everything aligned. So that's just a quick peek about what we will talk about in this video. So not every Power of 3 are useful. Based on our narrative, we either frame our Power of 3s on our program, or we use the higher time frame Power of 3s, yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, 4-hour, to frame the current program we want to trade. So what I mean by that is pretty simple. Some Power of 3s will completely neglect the higher time frame narrative. So let's say we are in a buy program and we see a bearish Power of 3s, it will be lower probability. Sometimes the market maker model will be a Power of 3, so you will in some sort of way utilize the Power of 3s as your idea for your narrative and your market maker model, so the structure, to confirm it. If no higher time frame Power of 3s develop, we focus on our daily Power of 3s. Everything is fractal. Pretty simple. Like right now, we are January 24th, and something important is that we are at the beginning of our Power of 3s, meaning we don't even have one monthly Power of 3s done, or yearly Power of 3 and quarterly Power of 3 are absolutely not developed right now. No structure confirms it. So when you see that, you want to focus on the daily Power of 3, because structure, if you trade like me on lower time frame, the structure will only confirm the daily Power of 3. Your weekly Power of 3 will not be referred from the 1 minute time frame, 5 minute time frame. It will be higher time frame. So just for an example, so for the sake of understanding how both market maker model and Power of 3 work together, we can see on the picture right below that our daily candle on January 12th, 226, so 2 weeks ago, was a complete buy model on its own. The power of 3 open, price started to distribute lower before forming the smart money reversal. Smart money reversal, you should have watched the market maker model before, being the lesson 1. Before running all the way up to our initial accumulation. All that was framed in one singular daily candle. So this is exactly how to frame power of 3 with market maker model. So as you can see, the daily open around there, yeah, exactly there, on this bearish candle right there. Price directly distribute lower, engineering buy side liquidity right above the small accumulation on the 15-minute time frame. We dropped, we have no cracking correlation at the high, no SMT, no nothing. Price continuously drop until reaching the previous day true day open. We formed a cracking correlation between the previous daily low, and we start engineering the smart money reversal. So referring to our first lesson, we know that smart money reversal must appear with a cracking correlation at the lows. Other than that, it's either lower probability or not the smart money reversal. So it could be less clear sometimes, it happens. And like on this day, it wasn't super clear, but we still have it. So now referring to our daily candle, the daily candle opened, no SMT at the high, we formed no manipulation at the high, and instantly dropped lower. Our higher time frame narrative, if you look pretty much past weeks, months, we are accumulation. So it's pretty hard to be sure about that, but let's say last year, if we had that, it was a clear distribution higher because our yearly power of 3 was already distributing higher. Meaning from that, your daily power of 3 would expect to be bullish, and your market maker model will confirm the daily power of 3, as you can see right there. So if you don't understand that, I recommend either watching trade recap of people talking about that, rewatching the lesson 1, or just dive into your chart and do your own study. It's super important. That's part of the data collection you need to do to understand fully the power of 3 and market maker model. So for those who are brand new at ICT and power of 3s in general, we have two types of power of 3. We have the open high low close and the open low high close. So let's just, for the sake of an example, there it's an open low high close. So the example I just took previously, it's exactly that. We open, we made a low, cracking correlation, smart money reversal, made the high, and then close. Pretty simple, nothing too much to stress about. Now, pretty similar, but kind of hard to, like, on this day it was hard to frame, but in general you will understand that by studying, like I said. So price opened right there, we made a small high, we had a cracking correlation at this high, and continued the market maker sum model with a smart money reversal, confirmed by this cracking correlation at the high, being, I think, an SMT with the previous 6-hour high, but I'm not sure about that, I don't remember exactly. But at the end, just taking count the cracking correlation at the high, market maker sum model, the smart money reversal, and the open high low close, following the structure we already have with the market maker sum model. Pretty simple. Now, I got this question so much times. What is the difference between AMD and power of 3? So I will roughly talk about it here because that could be like 40 minutes to give example and everything. But I will just give the main subject. I think no one need necessarily example because you will find example by yourself with experience and studying the chart. So a power of 3 will form AMD throughout its development. Because referring to the previous lesson, price work in 4 different phases, meaning at some point of time, AMD must appear for price to deliver. So what I mean by price to deliver from an AMD is that an AMD is perfectly engineered by an algorithm to manipulate and engineer liquidity to trap retail trader, to generate buy stop and sell stop. Meaning if we are generating buy stop and sell stop, that's for a reason. That's for trapping those retail trader to distribute. Like I talked about in the first lesson about the price phases. So if you don't exactly know, AMD is accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. Power of 3 is accumulation, manipulation, distribution with time. With significant time open. So significant time open, could be the daily open, weekly open, could be the 4 hour open, the 1 hour open, the 30-minute open, could be any high time frame we will use to frame our narrative. Power of 3 will not always form AMD. For the current power of 3, you expect to distribute, but price always form AMD at any place because this is a program runs by the algorithm like I talk about to manipulate and engineer liquidity to trap retail trader. So inside of a power of 3, this is a long things to talk about, but a power of 3 don't necessarily need a manipulation leg. The previous power of 3 could dictate what the next will do. It's kind of in some form of way the MDX, XAMD I talk about in the first lesson about quality theory. We want to add quality theory progressively in our trading. So that's a way of doing it. Just separate your power of 3 in quarters. So let's say we could take an example. The last week we made a high, sweep a significant high or a significant low, place a cracking correlation. The next power of 3, if another time I will say it, it's aligned with our higher time frame narrative, will not need necessarily a big manipulation leg. It would just need a small cracking correlation to confirm the low and then continue to run. So we don't need any accumulation, manipulation, distribution inside of a power of 3. But sometimes, in many cases, I'll say, for my own experience, AMD will appear inside of a power of 3, and that's a way of knowing structure. Like, this is a way to confirm that lower time frame structure coincide with the higher time frame distribution or structure in general. So just a quick picture. This is AMD. This is also AMD, but 10M open made the high, swept out the accumulation. So the 10M open high was a manipulation, and then we distribute lower. Let's say now that, I don't know, we accumulate at 9:30, all right? 9:45 manipulation, and 10M open right there. We will not need to go up again, sweep this internal high, and then drop. We could just directly distribute lower. And if our higher time frame narrative is bearish, price will surely not make this as the manipulation. If we are bullish, it could be, but it really depends on the narrative. So how to use power of 3 for narrative. So I want to quickly dive into that. Now that we know, now we know that power of 3 is a refined way to see market maker model with time alignment. As I preached before, quality theory refines the way to see time. When it comes to power of 3, it's exactly the same thing, and that's why they work so well together. In each power of 3, we have 4 different power of 3 to form our higher time frame ones. So I made a quick draw right there, just for you guys to understand. Let's say right now we are forming the new yearly power of 3, right? So we are January 24th, meaning the yearly power of 3 is open for 24 days on 365. Inside of our yearly power of 3, we will have 4 different quarterly power of 3, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, as I teach in the first lesson about quality theory. Now in each of those quarterly power of 3, we'll have 4 different monthly power of 3. And now, I didn't draw it, but it's this same idea. Inside of each monthly power of 3, we'll have 4 different weekly. Inside of each weekly, we'll have 4 different daily. So you will maybe say, in a week there is 5 days. Yeah, you're right. But as I preach, AMDX, XAMD are the basic idea. There is many other way to structure it, but the most basic are MDX and XAMD. So it's 4 different quarter, meaning Friday as its own protocol. We count the 4 first day of the week, and Friday is another thing, because Friday can do many different things that I will talk about later on surely it will be a topic that we surely need to talk about. So it's just an understanding that how fractal power of 3 are really. Because once you understand that your yearly power of 3 is expanding higher, because the quarterly power of 3 already manipulate, you will probably expect your monthly power of 3 to continue the distribution of your quarterly, to continue the distribution of your yearly. And same thing for weekly, and same thing for daily. Meaning, if all your 5 power of 3 are bullish, when you're going down into lower time frame, obviously you're trading on the 5 minute, 1 minute, whatever, 15 second, you will not refer the yearly power of 3. But you will surely have conviction on your daily power of 3 because you know the weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly are bullish, meaning we, in some sort of way, after manipulation for your weekly power of 3, would expect your daily power of 3 to expand higher. Higher time frame narrative. Now that we understand that each power of 3 are working together, we will refine our higher time frame narrative. If you trade like me or most traders out there, you are trading on the 15 second to 5 minute chart, meaning you shouldn't depend 100% on the yearly power of 3, but more so on the 30 minute to 4 hour power of 3. Like you see in my trade recap or maybe my quick short or reels or TikTok, I say all the time 30 minute power of 3, 1 hour power of 3, 4 hour power of 3, because that's why I'm trading. I'm using the other power of 3 on higher time frame as my narrative. But to have a high probability of trading for simplicity's sake, the 1 hour power of 3, you will need to align yourself with the daily power of 3 and the daily power of 3 with the weekly power of 3 and go for it. So at the end, you want to identify your higher time frame power of 3 and define in which stage are we. Once you know with conviction which direction we are going, you would expect your weekly power of 3 to most likely be in the same direction. So it's exactly what I said just before, just I repeat it. So weekly power of 3 distribution equal daily power of 3 correlate development. If we are distributing higher in our weekly power of 3, your daily power of 3 will some sort of way coincide with the structure. Makes sense. So I give the 225 yearly power of 3 as an example because it was a great example, I'll be honest. After manipulating 6,000 points, the distribution of your yearly power of the distribution of our yearly power of 3 was bullish. Once we know that, we expect our quarterly power of 3 to distribute bullish because we already manipulate lower. Once we know that, we expect the monthly power of 3 to have either small to no manipulation before distributing higher in favor of our quarterly that already manipulate and our yearly, meaning our weekly power of 3 will most likely be bullish for monthly power of 3. Finally, now that we have all your higher time frame power of 3 aligned bullish, what you will expect for the daily power of 3? You understand that you expect it to be bullish. We will need to understand where are we in our weekly power of 3 first, because your weekly power of 3 will need some sort of manipulation before distribution. So I'll just refer to this picture right there. So as you can see on this corner right there, I think you guys can see it pretty well. Our yearly power of 3 already start manipulating, right? We start distributing in the market maker buy model and we continuously distributing higher. Now, I took a weekly power of 3 as an example. I could have taken monthly. We don't really care. But as you can see right there, price open on Monday, this candle right there. We drop down, took out Friday's low, and then expand 5 days straight above. It was like right there on the chart. And just like that, you have your narrative for the day. Some things to remember is that power of 3s are a form of AMD. When price is aggressively distributing in a direction, our power of 3 will not need a big manipulation because in this case, the yearly made the job. But do not get trapped in pattern trading narrative. Take in count that each power of 3 manipulation must be done at some point of time. Like I said, once all your higher time frame power of 3 are aligned and your narrative is clear, you will need your lower time frame power of 3 to manipulate somewhere, but it can be just a small manipulation with a cracking correlation to confirm it. That's it. That's super simple. So like I said, right now we have nothing on higher time frame, so we just refer to our daily power of 3 mainly. So how to utilize power of 3 in market maker model, like having a narrative and framing a trade, it will be inside of a private group because I learned that by paying. So I think giving out this for totally free is not worth it for anyone, either the mentor that taught me how to trade that or just for myself. But you have all the basics to learn that. You just need to study. The only advantage you have to come in the private group is that I will accelerate this process by giving you example. You have the trade recap, you have live calls and everything. So it will be more easy to ask questions and understand how to frame our power of 3 inside of my model. That's pretty simple at the end. So last topic, I just want to tell all the importance of narrative. Once you will enter on the inner cycle, you will understand what truly make reversal or cracking correlation, meaning swing high and swing low. PD arrays doesn't matter too much sometimes. They will only be used as an addition into the trade. Having a sequential SMT with the previous 6-hour low will ultimately give insight about their continuation in our high time frame trend. If it doesn't coincide with the higher time frame narrative, it could fail. But if we are aligned, the only thing that could potentially make price reverse will be a sequential SMT strong as the one at the lows. So this could take like 10 to 15 minutes to talk about, but I think doing your own study about that could be better. So I took this example right there. Price was in a bullish trend, 100%. The narrative was bullish. NQ formed a cracking correlation at the low with the previous 6-hour low. All right. So referring to that, you see YM didn't sweep it, NQ did, ES did. So we have a cracking correlation at the low of the power of 3. This was a daily power of 3 along with the weekly. Price run up and we didn't care at all about those bearish PD array right there. Why? Because the high of our higher time frame power of 3 has no sort of sequential SMT, meaning nothing invalidate the move higher. That's why I don't like people using PD arrays as our narrative. It doesn't matter. If our daily power of 3 is bullish and we want to take out previous daily high, we will take it, even if we have a 4-hour bearish gap inside of the leg. We don't care at all. So I want to really pinpoint on something. If your higher time frame narrative is not clear or the other way, the opposite way, could be bullish or bearish, I don't care. A lower time frame sequential SMT or cracking correlation, whatever, could potentially reverse there. Realistically, there is many probabilities that price reverse even though we have a higher time frame cracking correlation at the lows. But if you're aligned with it, there is no big reason to care. So it will depend on your own study. Obviously, you will need to study it and understand it by yourself because just talking like that will not make you profitable or understanding power of 3 100%. But you pretty much have the basics to understand. You have how to frame your narrative with it, the fractability in it, the importance in your narrative for the structure, because rarely you will fade the higher time frame structure. Rarely the order flow will be fade. But sometimes, in kind of many cases, I'll be honest, you could potentially fade it by understanding the power of 3. And that's why I love power of 3. And that's why I preach that everyone should be learning QT, because quarterly theory just refines it. Just help you to really understand reversal based on what. Because if you were not trading quarterly theory, this picture right below, you will not have seen the Kraken correlation. It's not a big one. You don't even look at YM if you're not trading quality theory in general cases. So that's why I love quality theory. And yeah. So I hope you guys like this video about Power of 3. And yeah, I hope you learned something. Take notes and everything. If you want the Notion, exactly this page I just shown in this video, you can join the Discord through the WAP. And inside of that, you will have a section at the below, I think, called Gab's Notion. And each lesson are marked. And you just need to click on it, click on the link, and you will have access to that completely for free. So I hope you guys like this video about Power of 3. And I'll see you guys in the next lesson. See y'all.